Hello. Welcome to the first red-blue homework slash task slash in-class assignment slash whatever this is going to be. You will have most of today to prepare for the red-blue team homework. So I will sign off after about 10 minutes here, and you'll be able to sit in your teams and discuss whatever it is that you're going to do. Then you've got until Monday to actually implement it. So more on that later. But that's essentially what we're going to do here. So first, let's talk a little bit about what inspired this red-blue team task. It's not quite a cybersecurity task, although it is an issue that often falls under the same umbrella of getting a server to do something that the owner doesn't want it to do. So first, in either chat, tell me what's wrong with the town of Scunthorpe. It looks like a nice place. It's in England somewhere. It's a nice city, but for some reason, AOL blocked the members of Scunthorpe, Lincolnshire, from signing up for their program for quite some time. And then some years later, Google comes along and also blocks the town of Scunthorpe from signing up for things. Facebook also encountered issues with Scunthorpe. Businesses in Scunthorpe had a hard time listing themselves on maps in some cases. Businesses that called themselves like the Scunthorpe Cafe couldn't list themselves on Google. What's Scunthorpe's problem? Why are these people so horrible? Are they domestic terrorists? Is it the steel industry there? Somebody says it has a dirty word as a substring. Which one? I don't see any dirty words in Scunthorpe. It's a nice place. Surely there's nothing wrong with the industrial garden town of Scunthorpe. Surely there's nothing wrong with the industrial town of Scunthorpe. It's actually kind of hard to spot until the first few times you look at it, right? I've highlighted the problem there. Containing that word gets you banned on many platforms because that's not a word that's very well respected in most of the West. In Australia, it's actually not so bad. People say it all the time, so it depends on where you're from. But in America, it's not a word that's generally used in polite conversation. So the town of Scunthorpe gets blocked by the censors, thinking that the people of Scunthorpe are just trying to use a bad word as a joke or something in their town's name, when it actually is the proper and legal name for their town. There are a lot of these different problems with censorship, and these are all broadly known in the computer science cybersecurity community as a Scunthorpe problem. A Scunthorpe problem is when a censor over-censors a word, phrase, image, whatever, to the detriment of legitimate, not trying to say bad words users. There are obviously many common examples of words in the English language that contain swear words as substrings. Ass appears very frequently in words like assertion and all kinds of things. So the most aggressive censors will miss all kinds of hilarious substrings like that. I once used a service where you couldn't say, I put a cup on the table. I put a cup on the table. What's wrong with the phrase, I put a cup on the table? What was the service blocking with, I put a cup on the table? All right, yeah, I put a cup on the table. What was it blocking? For bonus points there. I put a cup on the table. And then a recent example on Facebook, it banned a photograph, an advertisement containing onions. Facebook brand. No, it's not iCup, somebody answered. I put a cup on a table. What's the problem there? Facebook banned a photograph of onions as sexual content because Facebook's AI recognition of onions thought that they were boobies, and Facebook doesn't like naked bodies. Well, not necessarily breasts. They could have been some other genitalia, but Facebook flagged a photo of onions as genitals and declared them not safe for work. And then the business promptly decided to use that as marketing and started selling sexy onions And now apparently they're doing very well because it went viral. So that was pretty hilarious. But yes, it's a Spanish naughty word. Puta, even though it's separate words in English, is puta in Spanish, which is not a nice word. And I can say that because we don't speak Spanish here, so I don't care. So puta is not a nice word, and puta contains that substring. So your task for the red-blue team is to trick the server, as red, is to trick the server into replying back with red. As blue, you are running just a general purpose server that when somebody sends you a message, you respond back to them with the same message, but you can pretend that this is a chat server where upon receiving that message, you would send it back not to the person who sent it, but to a bunch of other people probably. So that's how it would work. It's very similar in implementation. Rather than sending it back to the person who sent it to you, you would just send it to other people. Right. So you basically have a chat server there. And red is trying to make the server say the naughty word. So anything that could be reasonably interpreted as the naughty word, which is just red, so the word red, you win, and if you can't, then you lose, basically. Or if blue's server just doesn't work and it goes down, they lose by default. So you are trying to send the word red, and the rest of your peers will be the arbiters of whether or not you were successful. So I don't think that most of your peers will accept if you send, for example, red in LeetSpeak, like R3D or something. You probably lose. But any other thing that looks just like red will probably fly. So it's going to be up to you to prove that you've won in a court of your peers who will vote for the winner if there's any kind of ambiguity. So that's basically the task. Any questions before we get to it? I'm going to read off some more details here just so we're super clear on it, but put any questions that you run into on the way here. So you have until class starts on Monday to finish it. You can divide up the responsibilities however you want. Both of you are going to have a turn to be red and a turn to be blue. So on Monday, your blue team has 10 minutes to prepare for the first round. So when class starts, you've got until about 1:10, 1:15 to be ready. Once you're ready, you can signal to the red team that you're going up against that you are good to go and send them your IP address of the server. So only one of you has to actually be running it on behalf of everyone. Again, remember that both teams have to be doing this from the CSVM. So you'll move your server to the CSVM and start it. Give red your IP address, and then you can't do anything else to the code, obviously, as the server is running, so you can't stop it and restart it. Then red has 10 minutes to attempt to defeat you, so they have 10 minutes from the point when you sent them your IP address and they confirm that you are both ready to go. So you both have to confirm that you're ready, and then you have 10 minutes. If red isn't ready to go, then they're eating into their own time. Each team gets a turn. So first, Team 1 is red, and they are going up against Team 2, which is blue, and Team 3 is red, and they're going up against Team 4, which is blue, and then in the second round, your role switches, so Team 2 goes against Team 3, and those are the team names that you see in Discord, so RB. If we add a fifth team, I don't know how many people we have, but we might end up adding a fifth team, then I'll just edit this to account for the fifth team. You should have teams of 4. I think there might be one team of 5, depending on how many people we have. No more than 5, though. Someone said we have 5. Okay, so we have 5, so I'll add just another level here, but it's not too hard to figure out how this would work. So the team that thinks that it wins will submit proof, and then in the remaining portion of class that we have after the 2 sessions are over, we're still going to have 2 sessions regardless of how many teams we have, so we'll just have 2 sessions. And then the team that thinks it's victorious, if there's a dispute, will submit it to me, and then I will post it to Discord, and we will vote on who wins that way. Okay, or you can always just admit defeat if there's no ambiguity. And then you have some questions that you need to answer. Also, don't forget to submit your source code. You need to answer these questions individually, although obviously you can discuss your answers amongst your team. But just make sure you write your own answers to all the questions. Basically, I just want to see what you contributed personally, and do you understand the strategy that you used on both ends. You don't have to have contributed on both ends, though, so if you decide to delegate, let's say half your group works on red, half your group works on blue, you don't have to say that you did anything on the other side, but you should still understand the strategy that your team implemented on the other side and whether it worked or not. So you still need to understand their part, even if you didn't necessarily work on it, but you don't need to contribute to both ends. And then remember, your grade is based on the quality of your strategy, which I'm mostly assessing based on what you say was your idea individually. And then remember, there's also a bonus. You can earn up to an extra 20% if you win both sessions. And then there's a traditional 5% bonus for your code documentation. You can all obviously submit the same source code. Since you're a team, you all have the same code. And I will let you read the descriptions of the two sides on your own, but roughly speaking, again, blue has to operate a server that echoes back any string that's sent to them. So any traffic that they get, they assume that the payload is a UTF-8 string, and they echo it back unless that UTF-8 string contains the word red in any form. And I have a few examples here. There's all lowercase red, the obvious one, red with some uppercase letters in there, reddish, the quick brown red fox, jumped over the lazy dog. The referendum on reading was redacted. Redacted contains the word red, so that counts. All of those count as the word red in this case. So this is a bad Scunthorpe problem example where filtering out a pretty big chunk of the English language in terms of anything that contains the letters RED in order. You also lose if your server fails to echo back a string that does not contain red, and red can reasonably prove that it wasn't just lost along the way, or if your server goes down during that 10-minute stretch for some reason. That's about it. Okay. Any questions before I sign off? Well, if there are, I can always answer them on Discord. So go ahead and filter into 5 teams then, and I will upload this to include the update this to include the fact that we have 5 teams. Someone asked, does it count if there's a space between some of the words like red? Okay, let's do a poll. Does it count if there's a space? So thumbs up for yes and thumbs down for no. Let's see, does it count? Simple majority rule here on whether or not it counts. It's like put a cup on the table, right? Separation there too. I didn't say that the red team can't purposely crash the server. But I don't know if IT would be happy about it. If you can get them to fail somehow. Yeah, you could win that way. So it looks like no, it doesn't count if there's a space between. So we'll go with that. It doesn't count if there are spaces between the letters. But it might count if there are, well, I don't know, I guess it wouldn't count if there are dots or other letters, obviously. But there might be something that people are willing to accept. Who knows? Okay. See you guys in Discord.